Okay, so as I talked about this motorcycle before, this thing is normally white, but I had used plastic dip on it and made it blue. Well, what it looks blue, it's actually a little bit purple. So I don't like it. So the purple's coming off. So I'm gonna go back through the task of taking it apart and making sure that I get all the pieces off, and then uh, going back to the white, taking all of it off. I have a previous video on how to take plastic dip off, but I'm going to show you how I do it again, just in case you didn't understand or something like that. But anyway, so first things first, put the motorcycle up on the stand, and you're going to have to put the front wheel up on the stand too, because this fender, you got to take these screws off, and they're 3mm Allen heads, and there's two 12mm bolts right back here, one on this side and then one right back here on both sides. And those both have to come out, the Allen heads and those bolts. And then once you remove the wheel, this whole fender will slide out underneath. It won't come out if you don't do that, because there's this dimple right here, and there's not enough room to twist this fender even sideways to maneuver it out. It's just not possible. So you have to take the wheel off. Some have to put it up on the front stand. And once it's up on the front stand, I can go ahead and take it apart. I can take these trim pieces off, that one and that one. And they are also 3mm Allen heads. On this one, on the opposite side, I think the back bolt, I stripped it out when I did it last time. So I got new bolts, 4 new bolts and washers for the front fender. I got that from Kawasaki. It's here, so these are going to get replaced. And I will show you how to do that, but let me put it up on the front stand and get some tools out, and then I'll show you the rest. All right, so I got the front wheel up on the stand, and so now I'm going to take these pieces off. Again, these are 3mm Allens. Sorry about that. It's hard to film with, it's hard to film and take bolts out at the same time, but anyway, you get the idea. And so I'm just gonna take all these off. It's hard to film and take them off one by one by hand, but I guess I should use a tripod, huh? That would probably help. All right, so I'm gonna do the other side and take them off the exact same way, and then I'm gonna show you how to take these off, or anyway, the plastic dip. I showed it on my previous video, but here's another one. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, and then I'll get back to the video. All right, so I got the other side off as well, and I wanted to show you guys something that happened, and what happens if something flies up and hits the plastic dip. So as you can see on the other side, on the front piece that goes here, that one's here, but this is from the right side of the bike. Something apparently on one of my rides flew up and hit it, maybe a rock or something, but as you can tell, it hit it and kind of chipped it a little bit. And you can see right here that's down to the black, because this is normally black. And you'll see once I take this off, this trim piece is normally black. So you can see that it chipped it all the way down to the very bottom, or at least I should say to the actual black color of this trim piece. So now you can fix this by spraying it over again, put about 2 or 3 coats more on it, and it'll be fine. As you can see where the screw was, it kind of, when I took it off, it kind of pulled the plastic dip with it. So these are just some of the things you have to note, that if something flies up and hits the plastic dip, it can chip it. The good news is you don't have to take it all off and respray everything. You can just spray right over this and put about 2 or 3 coats on it, and you'll never be able to tell. I actually did that on my, sorry about that, there's a truck coming by. But I actually did that on the gas tank, and in one of my previous videos, I showed you where I chipped it. I don't know what happened, but it chipped. So to take the plastic dip off is pretty easy. You just either grab it with your fingernail at the edge, or if you can find this spot right here where it's already kind of chipped underneath the screw, you just kind of use your fingernail and peel it back a little bit, just enough to grab a little bit of it. And as you can see, as soon as you start rubbing it, it'll come right off. And then you can just kind of grab a hold of it. It's a little hard to start, but once you got it, it's easy. And you just grab it, and it comes off like almost like a sticker, but it's kind of stretchy, kind of like got like this rubberish feel to it. And then you just make sure you get it all in one piece. If you can, it comes off easier that way. And then you just start peeling it off. So there it is, back to black. So I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but it's got some green speckles on it. The reason it's got some green speckles, it's supposed to be all black, is because before this bike was blue, I went with a green plastic dip, and I didn't like the green, so I went to blue. But the green put these little flakes on it. It looks like it's black with the green sparkles in it. But this actually comes off. If you use some glass cleaner or any kind of like I don't know, cleaning solution, it'll get this right off. And I know because I've tried it on the other one, but because I was going from green to the blue, I didn't bother cleaning it because the blue was just going to cover it up, so it didn't matter. I said the only time I'm going to worry about it is if I ever want to go back to white, like right now. So now I'm gonna have to clean this off, but it comes off pretty good. A rag, either like I use like Honda spray polish, or you could use like a, I know glass cleaner works. I think Simple Green would work. And you just get a rag with some Simple Green or whatever and just wipe it off. And then this piece is ready to go back on. The only thing I got to do is just get this little piece out of this hole and clean this up a little bit. Clean up both sides and then stick it back on the bike and it's ready to go. And so that's what I do with trim pieces, take care of that and stick it back on the bike. And then now we'll worry about getting off the fender and all the other pieces, and I'll show you how that works. All right, so I got the trim pieces removed, all the plastic dip off these 4 trim pieces on the other side as well. As I mentioned before, I don't know if you can tell, but this thing definitely has some like sparkle to it, like a green speckle. But this will come off. And also, if you can tell, right there, there's still some blue plastic dip in the hole. But you can go in there and just kind of peel it out with your fingers. But I have some plastic dip dissolver that I'm going to use on the gas tank, which I'll show you in just a little while. Because there's places on the gas tank that have, behind here, there's some like little bracket that's welded to the tank. And the plastic dip is all around that. And it's really hard to get off. So I bought some plastic dip dissolver from the company. And all you do is spray it on there, leave it a few seconds, and it pretty much melts it away. You can either power wash it, hose it off, or just use a rag and wipe it off. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna spray it on here and just let this dissolve and just wash it down. And that should take care of that problem. So I'm not too worried about that. And then this will be back to normal black. And so now it's time to Let me move these tools. It's time to remove the seat and take off this back fender. And so what you have to do is take off this 6mm Allen head, and then the seat comes off. So I always complained, especially on my other videos, about how they give you a toolkit which is underneath the seat, but how are you supposed to get to the toolkit if there's a tool that you need to get this off? So I mentioned in my previous video that that was a really dumb part on Kawasaki and a big oversight, that, hey, you can't get to the tools to take stuff off when it needs a tool to get the seat off in the first place. And then someone had mentioned, actually a couple people had mentioned on the YouTube videos, on the comments, that supposedly there's a Allen head behind this plastic piece that fits that bolt. So my dealer never told me about it, so I had to kind of figure it out and look for myself. And when you take this off, sure enough, there it is. There's the Allen key. So I guess you could use this to take off the seat bolts, but I have my own tool, so I'm not going to do that. But I just wanted to look and make sure that it was there, because my dealer never told me about it. So I was kind of surprised to see that, but it's there, and I'll have to fix that rubber boot. Also, on my previous video, I had mentioned that somebody told me about this plug. Said it was a green plug. Well, it's not really green. It's more like a, I don't know, yellowish green or some sort. But they say that if you unplug this, it does something to the bike where it kind of gives it unrestricts it or something, and gives it more power or something like that. So I don't know if that's true or not, but we're going to find out, because after this whole plastic dip is removed, I'm going to unplug it and see what it does. Hopefully it doesn't throw a check engine light, and then I'm going to ride it and see what, if anything, I noticed that it changed. So stay tuned to the end of this video, and I'm going to unplug this, and then we're going to go for a ride with it. Maybe not today, but I'm going to take it for a ride probably tomorrow. And I'll do another video and tell you what happens if you unplug this. So anyway, stay tuned. So I'm going to go ahead and take the seat apart. So what I need is my 6mm, and of course I need my ratchet. And I tighten that down pretty good. So once you take this off, make sure you don't lose this washer. This seat is pretty much just hooked onto that latch. So we're going to put this seat aside. And then you got to take off this latch for the back seat. So we're going to take this off. Just remember how it goes, and it goes above the seat, this little bracket for the seat, and with this tubular piece going to the front. So we're going to set this aside, make sure don't lose the bolt. And then once you have that, then the seat comes off. And if you notice the plastic dip where the seat rubs, it rubbed the plastic dip right off, which is fine because you can't see it, but it also does a benefit because you can just grab the plastic dip from here and start peeling it off. And there's the toolkit I was talking about. So it's good to know that Kawasaki at least gave you a tool, seeing as how they needed you to have a tool to get the seat off. And then we're going to start taking these pieces off. So you have to take this trim piece off, And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's a 4mm Allen head. No, I think it's gonna be a 5. No, it is a 4. That's good. All right, so we're gonna take these trim pieces off. Make sure you don't lose the washer. And don't do what I just did and spin it in there, round off the bolt. That would never be good. And then you're gonna have to take these 2 bolts out. These are 10mm and there's a 12 here. You gotta loosen this up. Or I'm sorry, take this completely out. And then I'll show you the rest of it in a minute. I just gotta grab some more tools. All right, so you take off the 10mm here. And try not to drop the bolts everywhere, like I just did. And then there's a 12mm you need. And then once you take that off, this piece here just slides into there. And then that's all it is. That's all that holds it. And then this piece here, right, I'm gonna have to get my hand tool for that one. It's a little tight, but anyway, you don't have to take this bolt out. You just loosen it and then this piece will swing down. Do the same thing on the other side. And then take out these 2 10mm. And then this whole piece will just pop up. And I'll show you that in just a second. All right, and so the one thing I did forget to mention is there's these push pins on both sides. So you gotta just pop that in and then it comes right out. And I take it out so I don't lose it. Same thing on this side. Now I'll set these to the side here so I don't lose it. And then this whole fender pretty much just comes off. And so all I gotta do is just pop these little grommets out. That one, that one, that one, and then this one. And I'm gonna peel all this off. And I'll give it a wipe down with some glass cleaner or some simple green just to get it nice and, actually, instead of, well, there's 2 of the grommets just fell right out. But basically, I just realized that I'm not gonna use glass cleaner. I'm just gonna use some of that solvent because as you can see, it's a real thin layer on the inside and I need to get this back to white. One word of caution I gotta say is make sure you listen to the instructions on the Plasti Dip where they tell you to go in multiple layers and the more the merrier, because if you put it on real thin, even though it might look good, when you go to take it back off, because it's so thin, you're not gonna be able to grab it and peel it. It's just gonna tear and it's not gonna come off very easily. So the more layers you have, the better it will be when you go to take it back off. Just because after 2 or 3 coats, it might look all right or look good enough for your satisfaction, make sure you put at least 6 to 8 coats of plastic dip on any piece. Otherwise, when you go take it back off, it's gonna be a nightmare, much like it will be on the inside of this fender. So I'm gonna use some of that plastic dip dissolver and wipe it all off. And then I'm gonna put the back seat back together, work on the tank and the front fender. And when I get to that part, I'll show you how to take that apart. As for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and take all the plastic dip off, clean it up, put this all back together here since I'm done on this section. And then I'm gonna work on the front fender, get that taken care of, and then I'll get to the tank. And the tank is a whole different ordeal in itself. Not bad, but you'll see what I'm talking about. So stay tuned and I'll show you how it goes. All right, so I just cleaned the fender off and peeled off all the plastic dip, and then I used this solution that I bought from dipyourcar.com. It's a dip dissolver, and all those little crevices where the grommets are and places like that where it's really hard to get off, you just spray this on there and leave it for about 30 seconds, and then use like a power washer or garden hose and just hose it off. If it gives you a little trouble, just take a rag and wipe it. Spray this on the rag, wipe it. It melts it completely off. And as you can see, here's the fender. I just laid it on the windshield of my car so it'll dry because I just hosed it off. And then after it's done, just got one more little spot right here, looks like, on that hole that I need to just wipe real quick. And then after that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a coat of wax on it, just so it's nice and shiny and it looks good. And then I'm going to put the bike back together, and then it'll be all set. And so now I just go back to doing the rest of the bike. And while that's drying on my windshield, I'm going to go ahead and take the front wheel off first, I think. I'm going to go with that first. Peel off the Plasti Dip, do the same thing with the fender, and then I'll move to the gas tank, do the gas tank, and then wipe it real good, put a coat of wax on it, put it all back together, and then the bike will be back to white, just like it normally has been. And it should be good. Oh, and by the way, while I still got the camera out, I just wanted to show you guys. So as I mentioned before, this has a little bit of that green sparkle to it. So I'm gonna test it with this. I know it comes off with simple green and whatnot. So I'm just gonna spray a little bit of this on the rag and then just wipe it right here. See if it takes that sparkle off. And it sure does. Comes right off without any issue. I'm gonna wash the bike anyway, but I just wanted to make sure that it takes it off. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but this thing took all those little metal flake looking pieces out. I'm gonna do a little better job in the crevice here, but it took all those sparkles off. So I'm just gonna do the same thing on all the other trim pieces and wipe them. And then after I'm all done with this, I'm gonna wash the bike anyway, so the plastic won't look like I just wiped it. But anyway, so I'm gonna get to the front wheel now while the back fender is drying, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the wheel off. And let's see, for those of you that may not know, to take the front wheel off, this is a 14 millimeter Allen head, and I think this pinch bolt nut, I think this is a 6 millimeter Allen head. I'm pretty sure it's a 6. And then there's two 12 millimeter bolts here for the caliper. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take the caliper off. I'm gonna hang it off to the side here. Then I'm gonna take the pinch bolt loose, and there's proper torques to both of these, the axle nut and the pinch bolt. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, so I'm gonna have to look that up before, or I should say after I'm done and putting it all back together. So make sure you torque these down. Same thing with this, there's torque specs on it. So just make sure you do all that correctly. And so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. So I'm gonna take these off, loosen the pinch bolt, take the axle nut out, and then I'm gonna drop the wheel out. And then I'm gonna take these 4 screws on each side. Remember I mentioned earlier in my video that I stripped the one out. I didn't strip the hole out, I stripped the screw. So I got 4 screws. I'm just gonna replace all 4 and put the new ones back in here. And then there's 2 12 millimeter bolts behind on the front side of the fork and one back here on the back side. Got to take those out, but I'm gonna drop the wheel first. I'm gonna take this off, then I'm gonna pull the plastic dip off, wipe it all down, get it back to white, put a coat of wax on it, and then put it all back together. I'm not gonna film all this because it's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty simple. These 2 bolts, and then the pinch bolt and the axle nut, and then it all comes out. And just make sure that when you put it back together, you use proper torque. Anyway, let me go ahead and do this, and then I'll film the tank here in a little bit. Okay, so I got the back fender on, all the pieces back on. Yeah, all the grommets back on. Everything's assembled back there. And then, as you can see, I got the front wheel back on. Got the fender put on, the 4 new screws for the fender, got everything tightened back up. I torqued down the caliper bolts, the axle, the axle itself, and then the pinch bolt right here. I got that. By the way, I lied earlier. This is an 8mm, not a 6mm. So anyway, that's that. So got all that put back together. Now all I have to do is do the tank. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off these 2 plastic pieces, 1 on each side. And then there's 4 screws for this, 2 up here, 2 down here. I'm gonna take those off, and then I'm gonna start peeling the tank off. And then there's behind this plastic piece, there's a like a bracket that's welded to the tank. And I'll show you how I clean off the plastic dip from behind that bracket. I'm gonna spray that the stuff that they gave me. What is that? Anyway, the bottle, I can't even think of the name. Sorry about that. But anyway, I'm gonna spray it on there, melt it away, peel all this off. I'm gonna wipe it down real good, make sure it's all clean. And then I'm gonna put it back together and the bike will be back to white. I'm gonna unplug this. It looks like I might have time to ride it if I hurry up and get this done today. I got some things to do this afternoon, but I'm gonna hurry up and try to get this done so that I can ride this bike tomorrow and I won't look like an idiot with a blue tank, everything else white. And I'm gonna unplug this socket here and see what it does. And on my next ride, I'll report back, see if I notice any difference. And then we'll go from there. But anyway, I'll show you in just a minute. All right, so you can see the bracket I was talking about with the grommets. And when you spray the plastic dip, it goes all up behind it. So what I did was I just took this dip dissolver and sprayed it on there real good, let it sit, and then I used the rag and then I just wiped all around, stuck the rag up behind it, and tried to get it out as best I could. When I wash the bike, I'm gonna spray it down again. You can still see a little bit of blue in there, but I'm just gonna hose it down again and then just squirt it with the hose. And then I just wipe off the tank with some dip dissolver just to get any flakes or any spots off of it. As you can see, there's still a little bit on here, but that's gonna come off. And then when you go to the other side, I still need to do this side and this little piece here, and gotta do a little bit better job here. But again, I'm just gonna do just like I did on the other side, spray it down real good, and then swipe it with a rag. And then when I go to wash it, I'll spray it down one more time, and then it'll be good. And then you can see these little flakes. I don't know if it shows up on camera or not, but I just pretty much just take a rag with some dip dissolver and wipe it, and it comes right off. And then it looks just like it did when it was brand new. You can't even tell the difference. So I'm gonna do that and then just put the seat back on, and then this thing's back to normal. All right, so the bike is back to normal. Just needs a little cleaning up, a little washing, and it's back to original white. This is what it looked like the day I bought it. So I think it looks good. The plastic dip came off perfectly. Actually, looks like I missed a small spot right here, but that'll come off in the washing process, and it's back to normal. So that was it. It took me probably about 2 hours from start to finish, including taking time out to film this video. So not too bad. You could actually get it done a little faster, but I'd say 2 hours is a good amount of time to say that it takes to get it all off. If you have any questions or comments, leave it below. And if you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And there's more videos to come, along with unplugging that plug that's underneath that cover and finding out what it does. Supposedly it unrestricts the bike and maybe gives it more power. I don't know. We're going to find out tomorrow. So stay tuned, and we'll see you on the next video.